Chapter 49 to 55. Piccolo POV. Opening my eyes, I'm assaulted with bright light which enhanced my already pounding headache. Groaning, I grab my head in pain, trying to remember what happened to me. Piccolo dash, ugh, my head, what happened to me? Nala dash, ah, Piccolo you're awake, that's great. Hearing someone so close to me yet I couldn't sense them made me tense up, but when I realized whose voice it was I relaxed. I was in the process of getting up, but Nala stopped me. Nala dash, you should lay down for a while and wait until you feel better to move again. I'll be close by so when you feel better call me. Figuring I should listen to somebody who probably knows what happened to me, I lay back down with a terrible headache. A few hours later when my headache finally receded, I sat up with some difficulty and called Nala. Piccolo dash, so can you tell me what happened, because the last thing I remember is Sage taking me to your base and everything is blurry after that. Nala dash, all you probably need is a little information to jumpstart your memories. You went through a procedure to have 2 different DNA embedded in your genetic code. Listening to her speak, I slowly start remembering what happened to me. Everything becomes clear now, but the pain I felt during the procedure was by far the worst I have ever felt. Piccolo dash, ugh, yeah I remember now. Seeing as how I'm alive and I feel fine, I'm going to assume that it was a success. Nala dash, yes it was. And I truly wish to thank you for agreeing to my request. If you ever need anything in the future just come and ask me. Piccolo dash, okay, but can you take off these bracers? I can barely use any of my strength. Slithering closer to me, she taps the metal bracers and they release a pink glow before they drop off my arms. The moment they are released, I suddenly feel a huge increase in my strength, but controlling my ki is extremely difficult now. Piccolo, my power has increased by about 5 times than before. But controlling my ki is far harder than before and it feels weird as well. Hurriedly containing my ki in my body before it destroys this place, I ask Nala for more details about my situation. Piccolo dash, so could you tell me why my ki is difficult to control, as well as how long I've been unconscious for? Nala dash, well the reason why your ki is difficult to control is most likely because that your ki is the combination of 3 different keys now, so controlling brand new ki will naturally be more difficult. But this new ki is your own, so mastering it shouldn't take long for you, especially with your new potential, and you've been asleep for about 2 days. Piccolo dash, is there anything else I should know? Nala dash, firstly, your appearance did have some changes but they were minor. Secondly, as I said before, since you have a Saiyan's and Frost Demon's DNA inside of you, you will have taken on some of their personality. Luckily they are minor, you'll at most enjoy fighting a little bit more than you used to and you will be a little bit more colder to strangers than usual. While she was talking she slithered around the base before she came back with a mirror. Taking the mirror I check my face and I'm slightly surprised by the new appearance. Piccolo, my antennas were replaced by black horns. They're about 8 inches or 20 centimeters, and they point to the sky. Not bad, I quite like them. Nala dash, also on the side the machine you're laying on is a tablet that explains all the abilities you acquired. Setting the mirror down, I make sure to stand up carefully to not damage anything. Walking around the machine, I start reading the benefits I have. Piccolo Zenkai, far stronger physique, able to adapt to harsher environments, survive in the vacuum of space, and most importantly limitless potential. When I'm finished I conjured some clothes for myself, making sure to put 2 holes in my turban for my new horns. Then thanking Nala before leaving and finding a place to train my powers. Piccolo dash, thank you, I'll be leaving to control my new strength. Nala dash, that's fine, be careful though. Also, make sure you talk to Sage, he was quite concerned about you. Hearing her say Sage was worried for me put a smirk on my face. Walking out of the portal, I fly out the spaceship and the moment I do I sense a being's ki that feels like Goku, Vegeta, Frieza, the humans, and my old ki all mixed together. But the worst of all his ki is the highest I've sensed except for Sage's and the women he fought with. Piccolo let me go to the lookout and get more information. Underscore. It's been 2 days since I've left Nala with Piccolo. Currently Kakarot is almost fully healed and Cell has finally made his appearance. Krillin, Tyne, Gohan, Trunks, and Yamcha are currently looking for traces of the androids and Vegeta is doing something else, probably training. I'm meditating and waiting for anything that shouldn't happen, to happen. While meditating, I suddenly sense Piccolo's ki flying straight to us and he is far faster than before. Smiling, I get up from my position and walk outside waiting for him to arrive. Once I'm outside, I spot Cammy and Popo, but Cammy looks extremely surprised. Sage, it must be the increase in strength Piccolo got. Walking closer, I stop and stand right next to them. Both of them look over at me before Cammy gathers enough courage to ask me what happened to Piccolo. Cammy dash, Sir Sage, do you know what happened to Piccolo? Sage dash, he went through a little experiment, but the increase in power isn't what the experiment was about. Looking at his face he seemed confused, but before he could ask another question, Piccolo landed right on the lookout, destroying the floor and causing a huge gust of wind to erupt from the impact. Smirking, I walk closer to him until I'm standing right in front of him. Throwing a punch at him, he catches it and answers me with his own smirk. Sage dash, you've finally awakened, but it seems like you have terrible control over your power now, and the horns make you look more menacing. Piccolo dash, it's fine, I'll learn to control it soon, and the horns aren't too bad. Though I heard from Nala that you were worried for me. Looking at his expression, I can tell he's trying to tease me. Sage dash, why would I be worried about you? I knew you would be fine with your insane healing. Sage dash, anyways, your other half seems a little concerned about your change. Leaving the area to give those two some privacy, but also because I'm not interested in their talk. I go back to meditating and waiting for 21 to make her appearance again. Sage, it seems Piccolo is heading to confront Cell. I wonder if there is any change to Cell from the original. It's been 10 minutes since Piccolo arrived at the lookout, and after talking with Cammy he's left to go and deal with Cell. While meditating, I sense the Z fighters who were out looking for the androids arrive back on the lookout. Even though I'm on the opposite side of the lookout I can still hear them talk. Gohan dash, did you sense Piccolo's power? It was huge. I wonder what happened to him. Krillin dash, a few days ago, I sensed Sage and Piccolo leave somewhere, and then 2 days later Piccolo appears with a huge increase in power. TN dash, but didn't you guys notice something off about his ki? It felt unfamiliar but familiar at the same time. Yamcha dash, it's fine, as long as it's still Piccolo then it doesn't matter. Gohan dash, yeah, Yamcha's right, as long as it's still Piccolo it doesn't matter. Trunks dash, anyways we can ask Piccolo about it later, what matters right now is finding those androids before they start destroying cities. Listening to them talk about the androids makes me wonder why they didn't just ask Bulma to create a tracking device. I'm sure they managed to get some of the blueprints from Dr. Gero's lab, so why not ask Bulma? Curious about this matter, I stop meditating and flash in front of them, startling them. Krillin dash, Sage, can you not just appear in front of us like that? It's startling. Gohan dash, yeah Sage, you surprised me. Ignoring their complaints, I ask my question to them. Sage dash, why not just ask Bulma to create a device to find them? I'm sure Bulma could create something like that. The moment I say that their eyes go wide and they all stop moving, staring at me. It took a few seconds for them to regain their thoughts before they all yelled at the same time. Gohan, Trunks, Krillin, Yamcha, Tien, dash, Bulma. Mom. Seeing their reaction slightly pisses me off, knowing that they haven't thought of something so simple. Talking to them in an irritated voice, while leaking some of my ki, I ask them about it again. Sage dash, so, you guys are telling me that for the past 3 days, none of you guys thought of asking Bulma to create a device to locate the androids. Seeing them cower with their heads down, they all nod their heads meekly. Sage dash, so, seeing how I just told you guys a great idea. Why are you still standing here? Hearing me yell at them, they immediately got flustered before flying as fast as they can to Capsule Corp. Looking at them fly away, I could hear some of them talking about me. Gohan dash, I told you guys, Sage was scary, but none of you listened. Tien dash, yes, you were right. I'd prefer not to be the target of his anger again. Yamcha dash, I thought he was kinda chill, guess I was wrong. Ignoring their stupid comments, I go back to meditating for several hours before deciding to check up on Kakarot. Walking through the lookout, I make it to Kakarot's room. Walking inside I'm met with Kakarot doing some light exercise with Chi-Chi trying to stop him. Hearing the door open they both look in my direction, and once they find out it's me, I get mixed reactions. Kakarot seems happy like usual, but Chi-Chi seems annoyed and angry at my presence. Goku dash, hey Sage. I'm back to full health so I can finally fight those androids. Chi-Chi dash, tisk, Sage, why are you here? Ignoring Chi-Chi because she is highly annoying. I mean I train with Gohan once and she comes attacking me with her pathetic strength, and Gohan wasn't even that badly hurt, he only had some bruises on his body and a couple of broken bones, nothing serious. Sage, this isn't how I remember it being, Kakarot wasn't supposed to heal this fast. Anyway, I doubt this could be harmful in the future. Sage dash, it seems you have fully healed Kakarot, but you're going to have to wait a little bit. You're still too weak to fight the androids, Piccolo is the only one who can currently fight them. Ah, would you look at that, they're all coming back, they must have sensed you awaken. Walking out of the room with Kakarot, we head to the top of the lookout. Once outside we spot all the Z fighters just arriving and landing, except for Vegeta, but I'm sure he will come eventually. Everyone seeing Kakarot's finally healthy again gets excited, while Gohan jumps on Kakarot. Gohan dash, Dad. You're finally healthy again. Goku dash, yeah, I'm back to full health and I feel great. Krillin dash, it's good you're back to normal again. Tien dash, yeah, we could really use your help. Watching them have the little reunion, I walk over to Piccolo who looks exhausted. Sage dash, so who was the enemy you fought with? Piccolo dash, he called himself Cell, and he said he was created to kill Goku. Our strength was about the same, but I couldn't control my ki that well, so damaging him was difficult. But it didn't matter, if I hurt him he would just heal back even faster than me. Sage dash, did he have a letter anywhere on his body like it was engraved on him? Piccolo dash, yeah, he had an M on his forehead. Why you ask? Sage dash, Tisk, it's that woman I fought. It seems like she managed to get to him, you better train seriously because this Cell is going to be far stronger than what he's supposed to be. Hearing my advice, Piccolo nods his head seriously. While we were talking about other things, Kakarot approaches us and was about to ask us something before Gohan interjected. Gohan dash, Piccolo, what happened to your head? Gohan's yelling caused everyone to stop and look in our direction, and when they did they spotted the change with Piccolo. Surrounding him they started bombarding him with questions. Krillin dash, yeah, what happened Piccolo? Goku dash, you used to have antennas but now you have horns. Yamcha dash, wow, that's cool. Can I get some horns as well? Getting annoyed at all the pestering, Piccolo yells at everyone to stop. Piccolo dash, can you stop? Seeing as they started annoying him, they backed away about to ask him about him again. I interjected before they could. Sage dash, did you guys come here to talk about Piccolo's new appearance, or how to beat the androids? Realizing they were getting off topic, they got back to the reason why they are all here. Trunks dash, Bulma made a tracking device for the androids, but as it stands we still can't defeat them, only Piccolo can, and even then there is another enemy who is as strong as Piccolo as well. Goku dash, so we just have to train and get stronger. Tien dash, but how? We don't have enough time to get strong enough to defeat the enemies. While they were discussing how to defeat the new enemies, Kami appeared and gave them an answer. Kami dash, I may have a solution for that. Hearing Kami say he has a solution, everyone stops and looks at him with curiosity in their eyes. Once he has everyone's attention, he starts explaining about the HTC. Kami dash, inside the lookout, we have a special room called the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, or HTC for short. The inside of the HTC is a completely different place, it's all white as far as you could see, the environment is terrible, the gravity is 10x that of Earth. But the most amazing thing about the HTC is that 1 year inside is equal to 1 day outside. The moment Kami finishes talking everyone looks at him wide-eyed and with excitement on their faces. Goku dash, ah, that place. I remember I trained there when I was a kid. But I hated that place, the food tasted terrible. Piccolo dash, so we can get a year of training in 1 day, then let's do it. Kami dash, but before you go I must mention that there are rules set in place for the HTC. Only 2 people can go in at once, and you can only go into the HTC for a total of 2 years or 730 days. If you break any rule then you will be trapped inside forever. Hearing the consequences of breaking the rules made the Z fighters sweat a little in nervousness. Since they couldn't all go in at once, they started talking among themselves, deciding who will go first. Krillin dash, why not let Piccolo go first? He is the strongest and if he gets stronger then he will be able to defeat everyone. Piccolo dash, no, I'm currently the only one who can fight our enemies and if they decide to attack us I need to be here. Tien dash, that makes sense, so if that's the case, why not let Goku and Trunks go first? Goku dash, me and Gohan will train together, so one of you guys can go with Trunks instead. Vegeta dash, me and Trunks will go. Hearing Vegeta's voice surprised them and caused everyone to look over at him who was leaning against a tree far away. Ignoring everyone, he walks over to Kami and demands he shows them the HTC. Vegeta dash, show me the HTC, after training, I will surpass Piccolo and defeat everyone. Kami listening to Vegeta's demand sighs, and starts walking away with Vegeta and Trunks following from behind. Once they were out of eyesight, everyone else started talking about what to do next. TN dash, since Vegeta and Trunks will be training, does anyone have any ideas on what to do? Yamcha dash, what can we do? We're too weak to fight the enemies, and training won't improve our strength in one day. Gohan dash, so we can only wait for Trunks and Vegeta to be done training. While they were talking amongst themselves, I suddenly got a voice appearing in my head, almost freaking me out. Kaioshin-ha, finally I managed to get in contact with you. Something was hiding you from my senses, so it took several days to find you. Anyways, I have come with important information. We have sensed Majin Buu and he has awakened earlier than we thought, so we would like your help. Sage, calm down, and Majin Buu hasn't been unsealed. Something far worse has appeared. Kaioshin W, what do you mean something far worse has arrived? Majin Buu is the most terrifying enemy in the universe. Sage, it doesn't matter whether you believe me or not, teleport to me and you will understand soon. Done talking with him, I waited a few seconds for them to arrive, and they both appeared next to me, freighting the Z fighters. Seeing weird people appear out of nowhere, they all get into a fighting position while flaring their ki. Calming down everyone before they start a fight they can't win, I tell them to introduce themselves. Sage dash, calm down, they aren't enemies, and you guys should introduce yourselves to them, they will be quite strong in the future. Kaioshin dash, excuse our sudden visit Earthlings and allow me to introduce ourselves. I'm the Supreme Kai and he is my apprentice, nice to meet you. Kibito dash, you mortals are lucky you are associated with Sage, or you would never be lucky enough to be graced by the Supreme Kai's presence. Seeing as they aren't enemies, they calm down and return to normal, but they are still suspicious of them, but Piccolo seems to realize who they were after a couple of seconds. Piccolo dash, King Kai, Grand Kai, Supreme Kai. You're the Supreme Kai King Kai told us about. TN dash, no wonder that name sounded familiar. Yamcha dash, what are guys talking about? King Kai never talked about them. Ignoring them, I turn to Kaioshin and tell him about the women I fought with. Sage dash, anyways, forget about them. As I told you before, Majin Buu is still sealed away. A woman who was part Majin appeared on this planet. She is quite powerful, far more powerful than Majin Buu could ever hope to be. Kaioshin dash, if what you said is true then this is bad. Majin Buu was already dangerous enough, but now this woman who you claim not even Majin Buu can compare to has appeared as well. Could it get any worse? Sage dash, well, it might be worse than you think. Check the time rings and tell me how many there are. When I mention the time rings, Kaioshin gets really surprised, before asking me how I knew and why. Kaioshin dash, how did you know about the time rings? I haven't even told Kibito yet. And why ask how many time rings there are? Sage dash, does it matter if I know about the time rings? Only Kais can use them. For your second question, there should be 3 time rings, 1 for the main timeline, and 2 for the alternate timelines. So go and check if there are any more timelines. Hearing my claim about there existing 2 alternate timelines and as well as the possible 3rd timeline, he hurriedly disappeared, leaving Kibito with me. The Z fighters, hearing me talk about alternate timelines, asks me about it. Piccolo dash, what are alternate timelines and how does that woman come into the picture? Looking at them I can tell they all seemed interested, with the exception of Kakarot. Sage, even if they know it won't change anything, I guess I'll tell them. Sage dash, pay attention because I'm only going to say it once. Alternate timelines are made when someone goes into the past and change what originally happened in the past, thus making a new timeline because of their actions. Take Trunks for example. Before he went back in time, Kakarot was supposed to die from the virus and the androids would kill you all, but because he went back in time and prevented Kakarot from dying, he has effectively changed this timeline from the original and giving you guys a chance to survive. When I finished talking, Yamcha and Krillin looked confused. Kakarot wasn't even listening. Tien, Piccolo, and Gohan seemed to understand though. Shortly after, Kaioshin appeared right when I was done talking, but his face looked quite pale. Kaioshin dash, there are 3 alternate T timelines. Sage, so I was right, that means someone went back into the past after Trunks or Cell and somehow gave Dr. Gero some Majin cells. TCH, aren't the Kais supposed to prevent alternate timelines from being created? Buck of useless Kais, no wonder they died to something as pathetic as Majin Buu. Sage dash, TSK, so we have someone else interfering with different timelines. Not much we can do about it unless we find the one responsible behind it. Krillin dash, so nothing changes for us then, all we have to do is get strong enough to defeat them. Sage dash, easier said than done, the enemies you'll be facing have been enhanced by the 21, the women I fought with. So they will be far stronger than what they were supposed to be. Goku dash, then that just means have to train harder, and become more powerful. While the team was getting hyped by Kakarot's speech, Kaioshin and I were having our own conversation. Kaioshin dash, what do we do, this is bad. I thought Majin Buu was already bad enough, but with this woman, things have gotten much more dangerous. Sage dash, stop getting so worried, I can deal with her. Maybe if you train to get stronger then you wouldn't be so useless. Kaioshin dash, ha, you're right, I'm useless. Kibito dash, you're not useless Kaioshin, you're a supreme Kai. You have done so many wonderful things. Kaioshin dash, like what? Face it, I'm useless, even after living for millions of years I'm still too weak to face Majin Buu. Just call us if you need us Sage. After accepting that he was weak, Kaioshin left disappointed with himself and a sullen Kibito. Leaving everyone else, I find an isolated spot and start meditating, and like that 24 hours pass. Nothing terrible happened to the earth in that time. Cell didn't destroy any more cities after Piccolo fought him, but I'm sure he is close to the androids, it's only a matter of time. While I was meditating, I and everyone else sensed Trunks and Vegeta's ki, shocking everyone, but me, at the improvements they made. Getting up from my meditating position, I walk over to the entrance of the lookout and spot a ragged-looking Trunks and Vegeta. Trunks gets surrounded and everyone starts asking him about his experience in the HTC. TN dash, you've gotten so much stronger than before in just 1 year. Krillin dash, what was it like inside the HTC? Trunks dash, calm down, give me some space. The HTC has terrible weather, sometimes it would be blazing hot, or other times it will be below freezing. The gravity is fine, you'll get used to it quickly, but the worst isn't the pain you have to endure, it's your mentality. Being surrounded by nothing but white for an entire year is far tougher than the training. Listening to him explain his experience with the HTC slowly makes them nervous. While they were talking, Vegeta got annoyed and flew away, leaving everyone else to be confused about why he left. Piccolo dash, so who's going next? Goku dash, me and Gohan are next. Kami dash, okay, make sure to follow me. With that, Kakarot and Gohan followed Kami, while everyone else went back to doing their own thing, and I went back to meditating. Several hours after they went into the HTC, we sensed Vegeta and Trunks clashing with Cell and they were defeating him. But after a while, Vegeta and Trunks started getting into a confrontation, and while that was going on, Cell took this opportunity to absorb one of the androids. The moment he absorbed one of the androids, his ki skyrocketed until it completely surpassed Vegeta's and Trunks, causing everyone to get surprised and terrified. Piccolo dash, what happened with Vegeta, why did he attack Trunks? TN dash, damn it. What were they doing? Now Cell is even more powerful than before. Yamcha dash, this is bad, he's going to kill them. Sage, that stupid Vegeta. He was probably baited just like what originally happened, but even though he is only semi-perfect Cell, he is already twice as powerful as Vegeta. I figured Cell would be stronger than what he was supposed to be, but for him to be this powerful already, he's probably more powerful than the original perfect Cell. Note, not super perfect Cell. Krillin dash, guys, I think there's something wrong with the scanner, 18 isn't showing up anymore, maybe Cell did something with them. Sage dash, Cell absorbed 18 to empower himself, and his next goal is 17. Krillin dash, what do you mean? Sage dash, TCH, just what I said. 18 and 17 are just batteries meant for Cell to absorb and make him stronger. He's already this powerful after absorbing one of them, how much more powerful do you think he would be after absorbing 17? TN dash, then we got to get 17 before Cell does. Piccolo dash, there's no point. Currently, those two are the strongest among us besides Sage, and Cell completely overpowers them, flying over there would be suicide. Krillin dash, then what can we do? Can you help us, Sage? Hearing Krillin ask me for help, they look at me with some hope in their eyes except for Piccolo. Sage dash, TSK, I'm not your babysitter. I will only deal with 21, so if you guys can't beat Cell, that's your fault. But I'm sure Nala wouldn't mind helping you guys, she quite liked this place. Ruthlessly declining their plea for help, they got disappointed, but the moment they heard me say Nala might help they got super excited. We've been here for 3 years, and Nala is quite the conversationalist, so she has interacted with all of the Z fighters. Through that, they have come to learn some of Nala's abilities, and that's what got them so excited. Krillin dash, that's great. Nala could help us, now all we need to do is get her to accept. TN dash, but how do we do that? None of us are exactly close with her, so she might not even help. Yamcha dash, who said we need to be close with her? We have someone right here who is close with Sage, don't we? After saying that, they all looked to Piccolo, who was looking off into the distance. Walking up to him, they started pestering him for several minutes, about asking Nala for help, causing Piccolo to frown, but say nothing. While that was happening, Cell finally absorbed 17, and his power increased by 4x. The release of his ki was shaking the entire planet and causing natural disasters. Sensing the amount of ki Cell was giving off, they stopped talking and their faces went pale with fright. Piccolo dash, tisk, I'll go ask Nala. And with that, Piccolo flew in the direction of the Capsule Corp HQ. It's been a few minutes since Piccolo has left to find Nala, and I can sense that Cell has spared Trunks and Vegeta. They're currently flying back to the lookout, but their ki is dangerously low, so they are probably heavily injured. A minute later they arrived, landing on the floor. Their clothes are almost destroyed, there was blood on parts of their body and they were exhausted. Seeing the state they are in, Tien and Yamcha walk over to help them, and while Trunks accepts help, Vegeta refuses like usual and walks away limping slowly. Walking over to Vegeta, and before he can even question me, I knock him unconscious, surprising the others. But before they can say anything, I throw Vegeta over to them and walk back to the tree I was leaning on before. Krillin dash, what happened to you guys? Sage said Cell absorbed the androids and he got stronger because of it. Did that happen? Trunks dash, yeah, that's what happened. Tien dash, but why didn't you guys just kill Cell when he hadn't absorbed any androids and when he was still weaker than you guys? Listening to the conversation going on, I notice Trunks looks over at Vegeta with some anger in his eyes, before he calms down and answers him. Trunks dash, that's what we were going to do, but Cell revealed that he could get stronger by absorbing the other androids, and knowing Vegeta, Cell managed to goad him into allowing him to absorb the androids. I tried to stop him, but Vegeta got in the way. We had a little fight, but while that happened, Cell managed to absorb 18. The moment that happened we couldn't even touch him, his power was too much, it felt like a child fighting an adult. When Trunks finished his explanation, everyone went silent and looked at Vegeta with anger and annoyance. Tien dash, ha, getting angry with Vegeta won't solve anything. Piccolo went to go and ask Nala for some help, so we have a better chance at winning than before. Trunks dash, I haven't interacted with her much, is she powerful? Now that I think about it, neither Sage nor Nala are in my future and 21 isn't either. Sage dash, that's normal. You're from an alternate timeline, and for an alternate timeline to exist it must be different from the main timeline, which is our timeline. Tien dash, anyway, she isn't someone powerful or anything, but she is capable of using something called runes, and by inscribing runes onto objects, and whatever rune she inscribes, that's the effect said object will perform. When Tien finished explaining Nala's abilities to Trunks, he looked a little confused. Tien saw that, so he gave a different explanation for him to understand. Tien dash, so take, for example, she writes the word jump onto a rock, then the rock will start jumping. She can also use more complex terminology for more specific uses, but I'm sure you get the basic understanding of it now. Trunks dash, yeah, so I guess we just wait. Oh, almost forgot to mention, but Cell stated he will give us 3 days to prepare, and once 3 days are up he will destroy Earth. Sage dash, TSK, then you guys better train until the brink of death, or you'll all be killed. After saying that, the conversation ended. Tien, Yamcha, and Krillin tended to the Saiyan's wounds. About an hour later we sensed Piccolo almost at the lookout, while I felt the connection with my earring that Nala was with him as well. Landing next to the Z fighters, and before they could ask Nala for some help, she opened her backpack and handed them something similar to a senzu bean. Nala dash, take it, they will completely refill your ki and heal you within an hour. Taking the knockoff senzu beans, Krillin hands one to Trunks and Vegeta, who has woken up a couple of minutes ago. Yamcha dash, that's cool, they're like senzu beans. Nala dash, while I have taken inspiration from senzu beans, they could hardly compare to actual senzu beans, but they are better than nothing. So I have received some information from Piccolo about the situation, but you guys seem to know more, so mind telling me? With that, Piccolo and Nala listened to Trunks explain what happened with Cell, and once he finished they both looked at Vegeta with annoyance, but Vegeta just scoffed and looked away. Sighing, Nala asks them what she should do. Nala dash, well anyway, I'm no fighter, but I can help with a lot of different things. So you guys got any ideas? Talking among themselves, they were trying to figure out what they asked that would be helpful, but while talking Yamcha came up with an idea and asked Nala. Yamcha dash, is it possible to increase our potential or our talent? The moment he said that, everyone looked in his direction with a surprised expression on their faces, even I looked quite surprised at his question. Although Yamcha felt uncomfortable with all the gazes on him. Yamcha dash, did I say something wrong? Tien dash, not at all, it is actually one of the smartest things you've ever said. Krillin dash, yeah, and we've known you for a long time. Yamcha dash, tch, I'm not stupid. Besides I'm right, as humans we can't keep up with Piccolo or the Saiyans, we're of no help right now and even if we trained in the HTC we wouldn't improve much. The humans, hearing him talk went silent for a little bit and then looked at Nala with determination hoping she could improve their ability. Nala dash, sadly I can't just improve your guys' potential like that. When they heard her answer, they got depressed and while Nala was about to speak I interrupted her and gave the human Z-fighters some hope. Sage dash, ultra divine water, that's the way. Looking up to me who has arrived next to Nala, they ask back with confusion present on their faces. Krillin dash, but ultra divine water is poisonous and would kill us, how would that help us? Sage dash, when did I ever say to drink it? As long as Nala has ultra divine water I'm sure she could find a way to increase your talent. Nala dash, what's ultra divine water? Piccolo dash, it's a water that Korin has, and by drinking it, it would draw out your potential. But just like Krillin said it's deadly to drink, 14 people have drunk it in total, but Goku is the only one to have survived, barely at that. Sage dash, that's because they were all humans, a human's physique is just too weak to withstand the power of the water. Nala dash, since Sage said that this ultra divine water would be helpful, let me go and check it out. Saying that she puts her backpack on and starts flying away, waiting a few seconds for her to come back because she doesn't know where Korin is at. Nala dash, can someone show me where Korin lives? Sage dash, I know where he lives, follow me, and you guys stay there and wait for Nala to return. With that done, I start flying down to Korin's tower with Nala following right behind me. Once we arrived at Korin's tower, we landed right in front of a fat dude eating food with a sword attached to his hip. When we landed right in front of him, he was immediately frightened by our sudden appearance, almost causing him to fall over. Yajirobe dash, WW who are you people and WW what do you want? I've forgotten about the existence of Yajirobe, I mean who would bother remembering a pathetic waste of space like him? Anyways, I got irritated with his cowardice, so I walked forward and grabbed his clothes, lifting him up to eye level with me. Sage dash, tch, listen you pathetic waste of space, you're going to get Korin to come out okay? Now go. Throwing him in the direction of where I sensed Korin's ki, I watch as he frantically tries to stand up and run to Korin. About a minute later, Korin finally arrives with his iconic staff, and Yajirobe is nowhere to be seen, and I could care less about that stupid fool. Korin dash, asterisk cough asterisk I'm Korin and you two must be Sage and Nala if I'm correct? Nala dash, yes we are, and sorry about what Sage did, he is a little crazy up in the head. Sage dash, Korin dash, anyways, I'm sure you guys came to me for an important reason, so what's the problem? Nala dash, if it's not a big deal do you mind letting me examine the ultra divine water that you have? Korin dash, no, it's not that big of a deal, follow me if you would. Turning around, Korin starts walking, and both of us follow behind him. While Korin is showing us the way he starts up a conversation with Nala. Korin dash, I must say, you are one of the very few people who weren't surprised by my appearance, and it feels quite nice. Nala dash, well, me and Sage have explored all over the galaxy, and we have seen far more surprising species than you would probably think. So seeing a talking cat is quite normal in my opinion, especially when I live with someone who can turn into a 35-meter tall ape. Korin dash, ho ho, I guess when you put it like that, a talking cat who knows martial arts is quite bland. Turning a corner we arrive at a set of double doors, walking forward Korin pushes them open and walks inside with us following behind. Once inside, the only thing in here is a barrel in the middle of the room, getting a closer look I notice it's filled with water. Korin dash, this barrel, right here is filled with ultra divine water. Go ahead and do as you wish, but be careful and don't ingest it, it's highly poisonous. Nala dash, to be given the name ultra divine water, there sure is a lot of it. Korin dash, that's because there is over 800 years worth of ultra divine water in that barrel. Going to the side of the room, I lean against the wall and wait for Nala to be done with her examination of the water. About half an hour later Nala has finished inspecting the water and she gives me her thoughts about it. Nala dash, I have found that this water while highly poisonous, also has a strange property that improves the capability of whatever living being that ingests it. Sage dash, so, will my idea work or not? Nala dash, yes it will, and while it's a little tricky to filter out the poisonous substance and keep it as good as before, it should probably be only a couple of hours. But the downside is I'm going to have to use about all the water in the barrel to get the best results. Nodding my head, I follow Nala as she slithers over to Corinne. Once in front of Corinne, she starts explaining the idea Yamcha gave. Corinne - I see. While it sucks to see so much of that water get used up, it isn't used for anything other than increasing the power of whoever drinks it, and only Goku has survived it in the past 800 years. So just take it, at least it could be used for something that could protect the earth rather than sitting here doing nothing. Hearing him agree to her request, Nala gets happy and expresses her thanks. Once she finished that, she slithers over to the barrel and wrote some runes on the barrel. Once she finished, the barrel glowed pink for a second and started shrinking until it was the size of a 12-ounce soda can. Picking it up, she puts a lid on before writing another rune on the lid, and once she finished she put the barrel into her backpack. Turning around she calls out to me and says bye to Corinne. Nala - alright, I'm done, Sage, come on, let's go. Bye Corinne, and thanks for the water. With that over with, we leave Corinne's tower with a confused cat and a terrified human. Not even an hour has passed since we left and we're already landing on the lookout. Looking over at the group, I notice Trunks and Vegeta look far better than they did before when they arrived. When they saw us arrive they got excited and rushed over to Nala, and asked her about the idea. Tien - you guys are back so quick, does that mean you have a solution? Krillin - yeah, or would it not work? Nala - calm down a little, okay? I have examined the water into my conclusion, I can indeed improve your potential by a large margin, but it is going to take a few hours for me to get everything ready. When they heard her words they went silent for a few seconds before they exploded in excitement and happiness. They started hugging each other while saying they will be powerful enough to be able to protect the planet. Nala, seeing their reaction, just sighs and leaves them be. She slithers away and starts messing around with runes and other stuff. Sage - TSK, you guys will still need to train as hard or more intense than everyone else if you guys don't want to get left too far behind. The three of them, hearing me, calmed down from their excitement and nodded seriously. Tien - Sage is right, just because we are getting an increase in our potential doesn't mean we can train any less intensely than before. Krillin - yeah, with how strong the enemies are becoming we are going to need to train even harder than before. Yamcha - ha, I feel like it's just enemy after enemy and they keep getting stronger than before. I hope it ends soon. Leaving them alone, I walked around and start meditating when I found an isolated spot. It's been several hours since me and Nala returned to the lookout, and currently everyone except Vegeta, who is alone in the distance, is watching the three humans about to drink some of the improved ultra-divine water Nala created. Yamcha - are you sure we won't die from drinking this? Nala - no, you should only feel your body heat up, and while it won't be painful it will definitely feel uncomfortable, so hurry up and drink it. Knowing that it won't feel painful, none of them hesitated to drink the cup of water. Once they finished drinking everything, nothing happened, but once a minute passed they started sweating a lot. Krillin - I don't even feel hot, so why am I sweating so much? Tien - it feels like a whole bunch of ants are crawling inside my body. Yamcha - why does it suddenly smell so bad? Why am I sweating a black liquid? Tien - so am I, it's probably supposed to happen, but it smells like shit. After a while, they started oozing out black pus from their bodies, and it smelled horrendous. It didn't seem that bad for everyone else, but my 5 senses are far stronger than anyone here. I felt like I was going to throw up from how bad it smelled. Backing away to get some fresh air, I watch as they continue oozing black pus from their body for about 5 minutes before it stopped. Once they finished, a pink glowing circle appeared around them and it started dissolving the black pus that was on the ground, their clothes, and their bodies. Once everything was cleaned up, Nala went forward to check their bodies and informed them of what happened. Nala - you guys seem fine. But how do you feel, anything different? Yamcha - I feel stronger, and my 5 senses have improved tremendously. Krillin - yeah, and the control of my ki seemed to have improved as well. What about you Tien? Tien? Not hearing getting any response from Tien, Krillin looked over at him and got surprised when he saw Tien's third eye was bleeding. Krillin - Tien, your eye is bleeding. Tien - I know, I can finally see through my eye, and everything looks different. Yamcha - what do you mean you can see through your third eye? I thought you said it was blind. Tien - it was, that's why I'm as shocked as you that I can now see through it. Nala - drinking the water must have fixed your eye, so what do you see now? Tien - I can see ki, not ki that has already left your body. But I can see the flow of ki in all of you guys, even when you try to hide it. Hearing his answer it shocked us because being able to see the true strength of your opponent is a huge advantage in battle. Anyways, we moved on when Yamcha asked about the black pus coming out of them. Yamcha dash, while that's cool, I want to know what that black smelly pus that came out of us was. Nala dash, those would be called impurities. Most species I have studied have them stored in the body, and if enough of it is in your body it could seriously affect your health and possibly kill you. Krillin dash, does that mean we will get any more impurities inside our body? Nala dash, nope, that ultra divine water you drank is better than the original. Seeing how you guys are all fine and okay, I shall return home. Call me if you guys need any more help. With that, Nala packs up everything she has and grips an orb before it glows and she disappears. Seeing her leave, Tien, Krillin, Yamcha, Piccolo, and Trunks conversate among themselves, while Vegeta and I are alone minding our own business. Several hours probably passed again with everyone doing their own things when we sensed Kakarot and Gohan's ki. Everyone came together just outside the entrance of the lookout and waited for them to walk out. The moment Kakarot and Gohan walked out, everyone but me was surprised to see how they were still in their SSJ transformation and they were suppressing their ki. Goku dash, hey guys, got any food? I'm hungry. Hearing his nonchalant response, caused everyone to smile while Vegeta scoffed and walked away. Grabbing some food, we watched as the two Saiyans ate a lot of food, while Krillin explained what happened to them while they were gone. Once they were done eating, Kakarot asked about the power of Cell. Goku dash, so Cell is much stronger than before, but how is my power compared to his? Saying that he stood up and started unleashing his ki, shocking everyone because they could tell that wasn't his full power and he is already on par with Vegeta. Piccolo dash, you're about half as strong as his second form. Powering down, Kakarot put on a disappointed face before replying. Goku dash, that was only 50% of my power, so I could fight evenly with the second form of Cell. It seems like things aren't looking good for us. Hearing that was only half of his full power, surprised them all while Vegeta threw a tantrum again before flying away in anger. Sage dash, you guys aren't strong enough to win against Cell, you'll have to completely destroy him in one shot, otherwise he will just heal back again and be even stronger than before. Hearing my claim brought a troubled expression to everyone's face before I told someone to go into the HTC. Sage dash, Krillin, Yamcha, you two into the HTC next, I want to see how much of an improvement you two can make now. Not even bothering to try and respond back, they both start following Cammy deeper into the lookout to the HTC. Watching them leave, I fly off the lookout to do something enjoyable, hopefully, have some fun with Nala. Arriving back on the lookout after having slept with Nala for several hours, and doing other stuff, 24 hours have almost passed and I'm curious to see how much of an improvement Krillin and Yamcha made. Sage, they better have made some improvements, otherwise I'll break their bones for wasting Nala's time. Right, when I landed, both Krillin and Yamcha exited the HTC, and although their power doesn't seem to have changed, they are probably suppressing their power. The moment they appear, Tien lets out a voice of shock. Tien dash, what? You guys have gotten several times more powerful than before, it's absurd. Yamcha dash, what can I say, I'm a genius. Krillin dash, well, we did have Nala help us, and besides, what do you think we did in there, sleep? Sage dash, power up, I want to see how much Nala has helped you guys. Not hesitating, they both start powering up until their max, and while Krillin is a little bit stronger than Yamcha, I can tell that they have improved far more than they ever would have been able to without Nala's help. Powering back down, they look at Tien and provoke him. Krillin dash, you're going to have to train hard if you want to catch up to us, Tien. Yamcha dash, yeah, if you don't you're going to be the weakest among us in the group. Tien dash, just you wait, I'll show you guys my talent, let's go Piccolo. Then both Tien and Piccolo started walking with Cammy to the HTC to go and train.
If you want to support me, check out my Patreon at https://www.patreon.com/Kaioshin. I tend to polls that decide important plot stuff in my P at Trian. Many thanks to my awesome patrons. Ben Phillips, Yami Tancho, Kenny Nielsen, Harold Martinsons. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be here until next time.